Thanks for joining us on Docker TV, Nat. You've just come back from Lake Grace. We've been recovering from your shoulder reconstruction. How'd the surgery go?
Yeah, it went pretty successfully. The doctor was really happy with how it went, and I went back and saw him a week after the surgery, and he took the stitches out and had a look at the scan and said that it was all going smoothly. So I've started back at the club today, and I've started with some active movement of the shoulder, and then I'll progress into some strengthening work with some TheraBands.
You've been through it a couple of times, Nat. What did the operation involve?
Yeah, this operation is a little bit different to last time. Last time was just a general scope, and this one's called a latterge, which is used mainly in rugby players, and it involves removing a little bit of bone and relocating it to the front of the shoulder to stop the shoulder falling out of place. So
Okay.
a little bit more serious, but hopefully a shorter recovery time.
The training incident happened on a Tuesday. How soon after that did you have the operation?
Yeah, it happened Tuesday morning, and I flew to Melbourne at 8 AM the next morning, and I was fasting from 12 o'clock the next day and went in for surgery Thursday morning, so about 48 hours until I was on the table. So the club acted really quickly, and I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah. And what happened on the track that day?
Yeah, it was just an incident. I was sort of corralling a player, obviously with my left shoulder, and he changed directions and went to the right, and I sort of threw my arm to stop him, and without even making any contact, I just dislocated it, and then had to pull it back into place myself. So I knew then and there that the damage was too sufficient to continue playing. So.
Yeah. You obviously had a reconstruction at the end of last year. Have you looked into why you had the issue again so quickly?
Yeah, I try not to look back and try not to think of all the negatives and what if I had had the other surgery. And look, I think I was very diligent with my rehab, and I just think it was a freak accident. And if it had happened to a lot of other players in a similar situation, I think they would have done similar sort of damage. So I think ultimately it was the way that I landed sort of really did all the damage.
Did you head straight back to Lake Grace after the surgery?
Yeah, obviously I went home and spent a couple of weeks there. It was mainly just to take my mind away from footy a little bit and rest up as much as I could. I couldn't really do anything physically while I was down there, but it was really just to have a mental refresher. It can be quite a dark place when you're in rehab at a footy club. So yeah, it was just to get my mind right before I came back and got stuck into rehab. You're
back at the club now. What can you do to start working your way back?
Yeah, so today I started on the bike and cross trainer. So I just wear the sling and I can do some bike work and some cross training to get some aerobic fitness back. And obviously I can do a lot of lower body weights and weights on my other arms. So.
And what's your aim in terms of when you play again?
I've roughly got my sights set on about round 18, but I'm not really setting that in stone because I know how up in the air injuries can be and how things can change really quickly. So round 18 is sort of my rough goal, but either side of that would be quite handy.
The dislocations you had last year, how painful were they to play through?
It was a little bit different last year. I'd have what's called a sublux, so it would dislocate and then go straight back in, as opposed to this year where it would dislocate and then I'd have to pull it back in myself. So last year I probably had 6 or 8 incidents like that, and initially the first couple were quite painful, but they're only painful for a few minutes and then it sort of goes away. But towards the later part of the season, I would hardly notice all that much. It would just go numb for a couple of minutes and then I'd be able to continue playing. So.
How do you keep yourself involved day to day at the footy club while you're in your rehabilitation program?
I'll do a bit of work with Mark Stone, the mids coach, just to keep involved there and keep across where they're going with their structure, and hopefully do a bit of research on other teams as well, and just try and stay actively involved as much as I can. Players
will often talk about using their time on the sidelines to get better, to get smarter. What do you think you can do to make sure you come back a better footballer from this? Can you do that?
Yeah, well, I think you can. You can definitely look and watch how other players are going about it and hopefully learn a little bit there. But I think my main goal is just to get my body in as best possible condition as I can to minimise any more injury risks going forward.
And when you do come back, what sort of assurances have you got from the surgeon about the strength of your shoulder?
Yeah, well, because I'm naturally quite lax, there is always going to be a chance that it's going to re-dislocate, and you can never give a 100% guarantee, but he's quite confident. He's done a lot of AFL players before and had really good success with them, so yeah, he's given me a lot of confidence, and I'll just have to take his word for it, and when I play, I won't be taking any backward steps with it, that's for sure.
Yep. You say you're quite lax. Is that almost a strength in some ways when it's not popping out, being quite flexible?
Yeah, well, it allows me to stretch and take overhead marks and reach out and intercept balls and things like that. But it also means I'm 20 and I've had 2 shoulder reconstructions, so
Yeah.
there's good and the bad.
Is there, I guess, any way you can change your game, or would you consider changing your game to avoid it happening again?
I think you got to. It's really hard because footy is such a reactive sport. It's really hard to make a mental change to the way you attack the game. But I think the biggest change is going to have to be in the gym. If I can strengthen all the muscles around my weak shoulders, then hopefully they'll hold it in place.